Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Options Mentor. All right, so we had another week of choppiness. We ran up to resistance and we came back down again. And heading into this week, there really isn't any firm direction. We do have a few events that can push things along the way. For instance, tomorrow Powell is speaking, Chairman Powell. On Wednesday, we have a PMI, and then Friday, we have the monthly non-farm payrolls, unemployment numbers, that type of thing. So there's a few things there. Probably, with the tariffs are back on now with the so appeals court actually lifting the previous stay that the trade court had made on the tariffs. So there's a little uneasiness there, maybe a slightly negative sentiment in the market, but we'll have to see how things develop overnight and see what the world really thinks about the weekend's events. So let's take a look here and start out with looking at that chart again. Once again, super choppy. And there is obviously resistance up in the high 59s, a little bit of support at 58, a lot more support down around 57. So basically, we probably got 57 to 6,000. We're going to have to get through one of those to most likely to establish, more bullish direction. Maybe if we could get through 6,000, we might get to the all-time highs here again at 61.47. And if we bust through 5,700, we could have some weaknesses, at least down to 56, 5,500. Now, just a personal opinion, I can't imagine going to all-time highs whenever we don't have a firm interest rate direction. We don't know for sure when cuts are coming, and these tariffs are not going away. They're still on the table, been pushed off to July 9th. A lot of courts looking at them. It seems very odd to me that we would come up with an all-time high again in that scenario. You do have some things that might help, might not help. Summertime, sometimes volume's less, sometimes lower volume can make moves more profound, but it could also help it run out of gas, where we just don't have enough buyers to balance off any sellers that there are. So we'll have to see how this develops. But I think all of this, if you boil it down, really leans towards our style of trading, non-directional trading, where we could go up, we could go down, we could stay the same. Looks really attractive here. And we've been able to make this work even in markets where it didn't look so attractive for non-directional trading. But I think as we come into this week so far, just what we're seeing over the weekend, this is Sunday, it looks like non-directional trading should be in a very good strategy at this point. So I want to compare a few spreads and I want to talk about what's different about them, choices you're making when you put them on. So first, let's look at a double diagonal for this Friday. Selling this Friday and then buying the following Monday, next Monday. And you can see here, this isn't a bad looking one as far as our normal standards. We got a good amount of room. We can still make way over 50% in the center of the sag, even on expiration. So let's look at some other components though. It costs us $13.40. The theta is $243 and the vega is $155. Remember that. Theta 243, vega 155, and it costs us $13.40. Now, if we just go out one more week, what do we have? Well, it costs us a little less, doesn't it? Maybe 150 or whatever dollar, $115 actually less. Look at our theta though, way down, right? $78. Remember our theta back here was $243. And sure, we're paying a little less for it. That does affect your theta, but that's a lot less theta. And why is that? Well, it's got another week to expire. And we'll look at the vega here, 111 vega, as opposed to this week with 155. So what do you get for this week? Well, you get faster theta, period. That's really the number one reason you would do this trade. Now, if you happen to feel like volatility is more likely to go down than up, or maybe stay the same, this wouldn't be as attractive if it went up, would it? We'd have a little more negative effects on our trade with 155 vega as opposed to this 111. But mainly, this is about theta. You get faster theta here, but what am I giving up for that? Not only am I paying a little more, what if it goes to 6,000? We talked about that being a barrier. What if it went there? Well, if it just went there today, you're down 52 bucks. What if it went to 5,800? We talked about that too. 137. But what if I do next week? Well, if we go to 6,000, I'm only down 26 bucks. And if we go to 58, I'm only down 83. So the further out trade, I get a safer on the margins, right? If you get way up in here or way down in here, you aren't going to be down as much money, and it is cheaper. For that, I'm giving up the theta of this trade, essentially, right? And in dealing with the negatives it has, if it gets near its edges, it's down more. So that's kind of comparing this week to next week. I'm not saying either one of these trades are bad. I think at current, if we open tomorrow and we were sitting here like this, I think you could do either one of these. I just want you to understand what it is you're doing when you do it. What are you giving up to do what? Otherwise, you just go, oh, faster theta, boom, I'm out of here. Well, let's look at the other factors. It is a little more troublesome on the edges if you do that, and a little more expensive, of course. So now let's compare it to a calendar. So I'm just going to compare the following week, the second week of these two, the 13th, for a calendar. Now, a calendar at 18 VIX is a little higher than I would normally even want to do a calendar in. It's a little more volatility sensitive. Let's look at it. So I tried to get really about as close as I could get to, if we do 3 of these calendars, that's what, 1,080. And if you compare that with one of these, which is 1225. So let's just look at them. I can't get them exact, but you do need to have a similar amount of money in them as you can to really get a good comparison. Well, with the double diagonal, we have 111 Vega, 78 theta, and we're paying 12 bucks. Here we're paying 1,080. Remember this, 78 theta and 111 Vega. What am I getting with that calendar? Oh, a lot more theta and more Vega, right? Remember I said calendars are more Vega sensitive. However, they do have faster theta. So that's your trade-off there. Now, that's not the end of the trade-offs. What if we go to 5,800 in a calendar? Oh my goodness. Now I'm down 50 or 286 bucks. If I go to 6,000, I'm up $18. So let's look at this again. I'm only down 80 bucks and I'm down 27. So the calendar doesn't give you the width, does it? Where's the break even on the calendar? 5808. Expiration break even 6040 essentially. With this, break even's down at 5725-ish and 6050, not even close. So double diagonal, I get a lot more room, less Vega sensitivity. I can go either way. Volatility goes up in my favor, won't do me as much good as it would in the calendar. And I get less theta. What do I get with the calendar? Less room, faster theta. So really the calendar here is sort of a choice between doing the shorter term double diagonal and the longer term double diagonal. In both cases, you're getting faster theta with this shorter term or with the calendar, and you don't have as much room with the shorter term and just like the calendar. So those are all choices that you make. I would say I think the calendar's not a great choice, but I do think these are good choices given what we're looking at. Now, as I always tell you guys, when we get into Monday, anything can happen. I don't know what's going to happen later today or overnight. We could be up 300 or down 300. So you have to always take what you see here and just remember we can have big moves. Now, some big moves aren't such a problem. Like I told you last week, if I was looking to do either one of these trades today, and of course, I'm always going to move my strikes around so that they're, spread and more equal distance, sort of this distance apart from the center. So for instance, if we were up at 6,000 tomorrow afternoon when I put this on, well, I'm probably going to be moving everything up, right? All the call strikes, the put strikes, everything's going up. Same if we went down. Now, if we go down 100 or more, a lot of times I would stand by on that one and wait till the next day. Some of those moves can really play out further. On the upside, I actually like that. Matter of fact, we had that happen last week. put on a double diagonal, and we get out of it very quickly. 2 days. 2 days we were out of a double diagonal. That's not bad, is it? That's a good trade when you get out at 10% in 2 days. And that's what we did with my trade alert service. So this week I'll most likely be looking to put on a trade tomorrow. It may be this. I don't know exactly what the strikes are. I don't know where we're at. Things could change a little and make me want to do the fly diagonal or whatever else. Or hey, you never know, maybe want to do the counter. That would take a pretty good drop in vol for me to find that attractive. But everything's on the table, isn't it? We don't know what will happen between now and tomorrow. And even, Powell speaking tomorrow, who knows what he could do to drive the market. So that's my trade ideas for this weekend. It's also, I really think it's important to learn what you're getting and what you're giving away with all these decisions. You don't get to make them in a vacuum. Every time you get something, you're normally giving something away. And then you have to figure out, hey, is that worth it? And once again, somebody wrote on a comment a couple of weeks ago now, I guess it was, that they did these trades and they had trouble getting them to work. Well, that's because you really need to know how to adjust them if you need to. Now, this last one we didn't even have to do that. But you need to know the whens, wheres, and hows of adjustment, trade repair, and sometimes make the decision to get out a little sooner. Different profit percentages, you need to know what goes into that. That's all the things I teach over at arimer.com every day with my Opening Bell Traders Lounge. You can also do one-on-one mentoring with me, which is a really great way to learn trading because it's just you and I in a Zoom meeting room, no other noise. We dial into things that are just for you. Are you working all day? How does that affect what we do? Are you retired and can watch the screen all day? Or maybe you don't want to, but let's say you could or like it. Well, we can do things differently if you like sitting in front of the screen all day. Those are all things, goal setting, what's a reasonable goal, how to track that. Those are all part of one-on-one mentoring. And also, of course, my trade alert service going terrific. I'm adding more and more people every week. Check all the things out in the description. I have a link to my trade alert service. You can bundle that, by the way, with being able to hear my opening bell, which is a session right before the market opens every day, 30 minutes before the market opens. And my Traders Lounge, which is 2 times a week in the afternoon. Access to me on Slack, all those things. So take a look at those. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button for this video. And of course, the like, comments. I'd like to hear what you think. And I will be back with you guys next week with another edition to the Options Mentor, talking about more trade concepts and what might look good the following week. So have a good one, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.